Hi everybody, I'm Ryan, and today we're going to talk about weird nuances and play patterns that are really important to know when you pick up Dimir Midrange in Standard. You might already know these, or you might not. These are just the maybe not obvious things you need to know about the deck, whether you're picking it up or are already experienced with it. We're going to start with simple and then get a little bit harder. One of the simple nuances is leave Fairy Mastermind up and have access to Fairy Mastermind against decks that draw cards. Fairy Mastermind isn't a great card if it's not drawing cards for you, either with Enduring Curiosity or literally off of your opponent's draws, and being able to surprise them can win you games, whether it's the mirror match or against the Up the Beanstalk decks. That being said, the multiple Fairy Masterminds trigger multiple times. And so if you have two Fairy Masterminds, your opponent draws their second card for their turn, you can draw two cards. And what may be less obvious is if you activate Fairy Mastermind, it makes you both draw a card, but if that's the second card your opponent has drawn, now you have two triggers. So you have drawn three cards, your opponent has only drawn one off of one Fairy Mastermind activation if you have multiple, and obviously there's more if you have more. Something to remember, though, is if you happen to have an insane amount of mana, Fairy Mastermind isn't for extra cards drawn. Fairy Mastermind literally only cares about the second card drawn of your opponents. So multiple activations effectively do nothing other than help you dig, but also lets your opponent draw cards too. When you ninjutsu Kaido onto the battlefield, doing it on things that have enter the battlefield effects is the best way to go about it. Because you can put that thing with enter the battlefield effects back in your hand and get that enter the battlefield effect again. So whether it be Tishana's Tidebinder, so you can counter another activated ability, Flood Pit's Drowner for be able to tap something down, Spyglass Siren, all that stuff. You don't always have to do things with end of battlefield effects, but things with end of battlefield effects is almost always better because it just gets you more value. And then the last tiny nuance that's important is surprising your opponent with flash cards is a really important aspect of this deck. Now, whether it be flashing in a Fairy Mastermind on end step, untapping, attacking, and then casting Enduring Curiosity, or just making an attack and seeing if they block, and if they don't, flashing an Enduring Curiosity, making them surprised all the time is super important, especially since this deck has a uncanny ability to put a bunch of power onto the battlefield at the beginning of your opponent's end step, tap down some creatures, remove some creatures, untap, play Enduring Curiosity, and draw a ton of cards. It's just disgusting. It's so good, but you have to make sure you're doing that. But those are the small nuances and play patterns that are important to know if you're playing Dimir Midrange. If you like this video, then please be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.